17. Blackmail celebrities who you won't believe are real. Do you believe human beings can actually bend the laws of physics, or are real-life superheroes walking among us? Imagine lifting over 1,000 pounds with your bare body, throwing punches with the devastating force of a speeding car, or rising from prison and poverty to conquer the world stage. Tonight we enter the arena of 17 extraordinary black men whose ungodly strength and indomitable wills shattered every known biological limit of mankind. Which of these legendary titans truly pushed human potential the furthest? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe to Golden Black Legends to celebrate our greatest historical powerhouses and prepare to witness the impossible. Let's dive straight into the action. Ronnie Coleman. In the golden annals of physical culture, one name stands as the ultimate benchmark of human capacity: Ronnie Coleman. Born in Monroe, Louisiana, and serving for years as a dedicated police officer in Arlington, Texas, Coleman defied biology to construct what experts consider the most dominant, heavily muscled physique ever presented on a stage. Between 1998 and 2005, he captured 8 consecutive Mr. Olympia titles, standing as an immovable titan who carried over 300 pounds of striated muscle in contest condition. Yet what truly elevated Coleman into mythical status was not merely his aesthetic symmetry, but his terrifying mechanical power. While conventional champions favored moderate resistance to isolate muscle tissue, Coleman attacked the gym like a possessed heavyweight powerlifter. The Iron World stood still when he famously roared his war cry, "Yeah, buddy, lightweight baby," before casually squatting a colossal 800 pounds for 2 clean repetitions, followed by an 800-pound deadlift and a leg press exceeding 300 pounds. For nearly a decade, his ungodly poundages obliterated the competition, creating an aura of complete invincibility that transformed modern bodybuilding. However, challenging the laws of biomechanics demanded a devastating physical toll. The relentless compression of superhuman loads permanently shattered his spine, hips, and neck. Over his post-retirement years, Coleman underwent more than 13 major, agonizing corrective surgeries, resulting in screws, cages, and metal rods reinforcing his back. Today, the legendary king of bodybuilding can no longer walk unassisted, relying on crutches or a wheelchair to navigate daily life. Yet when asked if he harbors bitterness over his physical sacrifices, his spirit remains completely unbreakable. With trademark grace, his only voiced regret is that he stopped at 2 reps instead of pushing for 4 on that legendary 800-pound squat. Still training faithfully with lighter weights every morning, Coleman embodies an indomitable soul whose true power transcends flesh and bone. His sacrifice paved an untouchable standard of excellence. But while Coleman pushed iron limits through professional bodybuilding, our next legend conquered 3 separate strength disciplines with pure, unassisted brute force. Mark Henry. Long before captivating global audiences inside the squared circle of professional wrestling, Mark Henry cemented his name in sports lore through raw, unassisted power. Born in Silsbee, Texas, Henry possessed a towering anatomical frame that set him on a historic trajectory. He achieved what no other human has ever replicated, competing at the highest international level across 3 distinct strength sports: Olympic weightlifting, competitive powerlifting, and professional strongman. Without specialized supportive gear, he set unequipped world records in the squat, deadlift, and total, earning the official undisputed moniker of the world's strongest man. Audiences worldwide were left in disbelief as Henry performed feats reminiscent of ancient myth. He bent solid steel skillets with his bare palms, snapped iron chains, hauled 2 loaded transport trucks, and famously hoisted the legendary 172-pound Thomas Inch dumbbell overhead with a single arm, a challenge that had defeated countless elite lifters for over a century. In 2002, he won the inaugural Arnold Strongman Classic, solidifying his legacy as an athletic freak of nature. This God-given gift propelled him to multi-million-dollar WWE contracts, championship reigns, and a revered induction into the Hall of Fame, yet carrying a massive frame exceeding 390 pounds while subjecting human joints to monumental loads exacted a heavy toll. Years of relentless pressure wore down his knees, spine and hips, leaving him with chronic nerve pain and demanding multiple reconstructive surgeries. Henry candidly admitted that post-retirement mornings often required a painful 15-minute battle just to stand erect and walk across a room. Now retired from heavy lifting, Henry channels his deep wisdom into scouting and mentoring the next generation, guiding rising athletes and proudly watching his son Jacob Henry carry the torch. His life stands as a testament that true strength is built on both bone-crushing power and humble longevity. But while Henry conquered diverse platforms, our next giant made history by achieving a single, unthinkable powerlifting milestone that was once considered impossible. Julius Maddox. Julius Maddox represents the definitive triumph of the human spirit over the darkest depths of despair. Born and raised in Owensboro, Kentucky, Maddox spent his young adulthood trapped in a harrowing spiral of severe drug addiction, clinical depression, and multiple prison sentences. Standing at rock bottom with his family life in ruins, he entered a faith-based recovery program. In the quiet basement of that rehabilitation center, he discovered a rusted barbell and a worn weight bench, using the physical agony of heavy iron to silence the self-destructive demons haunting his mind. The therapeutic outlet quickly revealed a terrifying, ungodly pressing power. Dedicating his life entirely to clean powerlifting, Maddox shocked the globe in 2009 by breaking the all-time world raw bench press record with a lift of 739.6 pounds. He continued pushing his own limits, officially pressing an astounding 782.6 pounds completely unequipped, relying purely on brute, peak, delt and tricep power without a supportive bench shirt. In a single generation, he transformed from an incarcerated addict into the strongest bench presser to ever walk the earth. However, hunting the mythical 800-pound milestone pushed his body to its absolute limits. During a televised record attempt in 2020, an organizer's catastrophic misload caused Maddox to lift an uneven barbell, resulting in a severe pectoral tear and deep psychological trauma. Maintaining a 440-pound frame to support such ungodly pressing mechanics placed continuous stress on his cardiovascular system, requiring grueling physical therapy and unrelenting mental fortitude to rebuild his torn muscles. Rising above the setback, Maddox returned to the platform stronger, turning his pain into purpose. He now travels extensively to juvenile facilities, prisons and rehab centers, sharing his story of redemption with those who have lost their way. But while Maddox forged his strength in powerlifting basements, our next warrior forged an explosive, bone-shattering force through pure survival in the deserts and sand mines of Africa. Francis Ngannou, born into grinding poverty in the village of Batie, Cameroon. Francis Ngannou's physical foundation was not built in high-tech training facilities. From the age of 10, he shoveled heavy sand under a blistering sun for pennies a day just to feed his family. Driven by a dream of becoming a world champion, Ngannou embarked on a perilous 14-month journey to Europe, trekking across the deadly Sahara Desert, drinking water from contaminated puddles, evading border patrols, and sleeping in Parisian parking garages as a homeless refugee before stepping into a combat gym. That raw survival instinct manifested into the most devastating striking power ever recorded in human combat sports. At the UFC Performance Institute, scientific testing confirmed that Ngannou possessed the world record for the hardest punch ever thrown, an astronomical 129,161 units of force, mathematically equivalent to being struck by a 12-pound sledgehammer swung at full speed or hit by a family sedan. Inside the octagon, the Predator captured the UFC Heavyweight Championship, knocking out elite world-class fighters with grazing blows that defied basic physics. Yet his greatest battle was maintaining his personal sovereignty against corporate giants. In a historic move, Ngannou walked away from the UFC at the height of his fame, vacating his title to demand fair fighter pay and health care. He subsequently transitioned to the boxing ring, stunning the world by dropping lineal heavyweight champion Tyson Fury and securing multi-million-dollar paydays on his own uncompromising terms. Ngannou established the Francis Ngannou Foundation, building modern sports facilities in Cameroon to provide free training and education to impoverished youth. His journey proves that when forged through unbreakable resilience, a man's strength can shatter poverty, conquer the globe, and build a lasting sanctuary for generations to come. Cheikh Iron Bibi Sanu. Hailing from Bobo Dioulasso, Burkina Faso, Cheikh Iron Bibi Sanu stands as a towering modern marvel in strength athletics, blessed with bone structure and raw mass that resemble a walking fortress. This West African powerhouse frequently tips the scales at over 440 pounds, carrying an absurdly broad 60-inch chest. Unlike bodybuilders who sculpt for visual symmetry, Bibi represents pure, unadulterated primal power. I etched his name permanently into strongman history by capturing the world record in the overhead log press, lifting an astounding 507 pounds clean over his head to claim the undisputed crown of upper body pressing. Yet behind the national parades and thunderous stadium cheers lies a deeply painful childhood. Growing up, Bibi suffered cruel, relentless bullying from peers due to his abnormally massive frame, weighing over 260 pounds by the age of 16. The constant ridicule made him deeply insecure, retreating into profound isolation, until he discovered weight training as a sanctuary to transform his shame into an impenetrable armor. Maintaining such a colossal body comes with heavy daily sacrifices, placing continuous strain on his cardiovascular health and requiring custom-made clothing and specialized travel accommodations just to navigate standard life. Today, Iron Bibi is celebrated as an immortal folk hero across Africa. Whenever he returns home from international championships, thousands of proud citizens pack airport terminals and streets to welcome him like a head of state. Refusing to let his influence end on the lifting platform, Bibi invests his earnings into building grassroots training gyms and educational programs for impoverished youth across Burkina Faso. Iron Bibi transformed the pain of childhood exclusion into an immovable beacon of African pride and world dominance. But while Bibi conquered overhead strength with pure mass, our next phenomenon stunned the fitness world by mastering extreme poundages with a shredded aesthetic frame. Larry Wheels, born Larry Williams in the rugged neighborhoods of the Bronx, New York. Larry Wheels emerged as an unprecedented freak of nature across modern strength culture. Enduring a childhood plagued by extreme poverty, foster homes and fatherless instability, he found salvation in the harsh embrace of iron, beginning his journey with a makeshift broomstick and 2 concrete blocks found in a junkyard. That furious drive transformed him into a hybrid lifting phenomenon, possessing a strength-to-body weight ratio that completely redefined human capability. Competing across powerlifting, strongman, and arm wrestling, Larry astonished the globe by totaling over 425 pounds raw in competition at a chiseled 275 pounds body weight, routinely executing an 800-pound squat, an 850-pound deadlift, and a 650-pound raw bench press. However, the manic obsession to constantly shatter personal records pushed him toward a deadly precipice. Larry openly admitted to abusing dangerous dosages of performance-enhancing drugs and anabolic steroids, turning his body into a hazardous chemical experiment that led to near-fatal blood pressure spikes, torn biceps, ripped quads, and severe organ strain. Confronted with urgent medical warnings regarding heart failure and stroke, Larry demonstrated his greatest strength, the courage to step back from the edge. He publicly abandoned extreme steroid regimens, transitioned to medically supervised testosterone therapy, and rebuilt his physique with clean, sustainable discipline. Along the way, he parlayed his social media dominance into a multi-million-dollar fitness apparel and equipment empire named PR Lifestyle. Larry Wheels proved that real power lies not in risking death for a heavier bar, but in mastering the maturity to protect your own life. Yet while Larry pushed hybrid lifting to the brink, our next legend mastered the science of aesthetic perfection to dominate the Olympia stage for nearly a decade. Phil Heath, nicknamed The Gift, Philip Jarrod Heath stands among the most decorated physiques in the history of physical culture. A former Division I basketball player at the University of Denver, the Seattle native transitioned to bodybuilding in 2002, bringing a rare genetic blueprint characterized by narrow joints, sweeping muscle bellies, and extraordinary density. Between 2011 and 2017, Heath equaled the legendary Arnold Schwarzenegger by capturing 7 consecutive Mr. Olympia titles, showcasing a jaw-dropping three-dimensional fullness and razor-sharp conditioning that earned him an untouchable place in the sport's pantheon. Yet behind the radiant Bronze 10 and Sando trophies lay an unforgiving gauntlet of physical and emotional turmoil. To maintain his 250-pound championship conditioning year after year, Heath endured brutal, high-volume resistance training, lifting monstrous weights under severe caloric depletion. The extreme physical pressure culminated in a life-threatening double umbilical hernia that required urgent complex surgery following his 2017 Olympia victory. Additionally, he battled intense public scrutiny and online criticism from fans who demanded flawless perfection, forcing him to develop an ironclad psychological resilience to protect his focus, refusing to let injuries or detractors define his legacy. Heath returned to the stage with immense pride, cementing his status as a master craftsman who elevated the science of hypertrophy to high art. Transitioning into successful entrepreneurship, executive production, and international sports broadcasting, he continues to educate millions on mental discipline and longevity. Phil Heath proved that true greatness is built when supreme genetic gifts are matched by an unyielding work ethic. But while Heath ruled the stage with sculpted perfection, our next icon unleashed an explosive, terrifying fury inside the boxing ring that shocked the entire world. Mike Tyson. Emerging from the crime-infested streets of Brownsville, Brooklyn, Mike Tyson became a cultural tsunami and the most terrifying heavyweight boxer in combat sports history. Under the legendary mentorship of Cus D'Amato, Tyson mastered the peekaboo style, combining blazing hand speed, slipping defense, and explosive punching mechanics. In 1986, at just 20 years old, Iron Mike annihilated Trevor Berbick to become the youngest heavyweight champion the world had ever seen, knocking out 44 opponents with a ferocious power that felt like being struck by lightning. Tyson's bone-shattering punching force was generated by an abnormal thick neck, an impenetrable back, and rotational torque that devastated every challenger in his path. Yet that savage power inside the ring masked a profound, agonizing psychological tragedy. Following the untimely death of D'Amato, Tyson lost his foundational anchor, descending into a dark spiral of substance abuse, financial exploitation, public scandals, and prison time. His inner demons threatened to consume him, turning the feared heavyweight into a tragic figure whose immense rage destroyed his personal happiness. In his later years, Tyson completed one of the most miraculous emotional transformations in sports history. Taming the vicious monster of his youth, he embraced sobriety, veganism, and deep spiritual reflection, reinventing himself as a beloved podcast host, entrepreneur, and philosophical elder statesman of combat sports. Even in his late 50s, his training footage continues to showcase an astonishing hand speed and punching power that commands global reverence. Mike Tyson demonstrated that the most difficult fight a warrior will ever face is not against the opponent in front of him, but against the demons within his own mind. C.T. Fletcher. Revered across the international fitness landscape as the Superman of Compton, C.T. Fletcher is an immortal pillar of unyielding determination and raw power. Emerging from a youth scarred by severe domestic abuse in California, he channeled his inner fury directly into the iron, transforming pain into an explosive physical foundation. During his competitive prime in the 1980s and 1990s, Fletcher captured 6 world championships across the strict curl and bench press disciplines, etching his name into history by strict curling, an astounding 225 pounds, and unequipped bench pressing over 650 pounds with monstrous 22-inch arms. Yet his supreme confidence concealed a catastrophic, self-destructive dietary routine. Convinced that his sheer physical power rendered him invincible, Fletcher consumed thousands of calories of fast food, daily eating up to 4 Big Macs at a time just to sustain his colossal mass. The reckless lifestyle exacted a brutal toll on his cardiovascular health. His heart progressively deteriorated, leading to massive, near-fatal cardiac arrests that caused his heart to stop beating on the operating table, culminating in a life-saving emergency heart transplant in 2018. Stripped of his massive size, but never his warrior spirit, Fletcher achieved a miraculous psychological and physical rebirth. He returned to the gym with lighter weights, using his famous rallying cry, "It's still your set," to inspire millions of people facing illness, loss, and adversity across the globe. Through his Iron Addicts fitness brand and motivational speaking, he proved that authentic power is not measured by the circumference of a bicep, but by an unbreakable will that refuses to quit. C.T. Fletcher turned a fragile heart into an eternal anthem of survival. But while Fletcher conquered iron through sheer intensity, our next icon was born with a multi-sport athleticism so explosive it redefined the laws of human motion. Bo Jackson. Vincent Edward Bo Jackson stands undisputed among the greatest pure athletes ever to walk the earth. Hailing from Bessemer, Alabama, Jackson possessed a biological combination of 4.1-second 40-yard dash speed and heavyweight collision force that stunned sports physiologists. He accomplished what remains entirely unprecedented in modern athletics, earning all-star honors in both the National Football League with the Los Angeles Raiders and Major League Baseball with the Kansas City Royals, executing feats of power that belonged in superhero comic books. Audiences sat in disbelief as Jackson repeatedly performed the impossible on national television. When frustrated by an umpire's strike call, he routinely snapped solid 34-inch ash baseball bats over his knee or across his helmeted head, using pure, unassisted leverage. On the football field, his 230-pound frame ran over elite linebackers like a freight train, famously running up the outfield wall in baseball after making highlight reel catches. His freakish power was completely organic, built without complex sports science, relying purely on God-given mechanics and relentless intensity. However, his supernatural athleticism met a heartbreaking conclusion during a 1991 NFL playoff game. After being tackled from behind, Jackson's massive leg drive pulled his own hip joint out of its socket, causing avascular necrosis that shattered the bone tissue and abruptly halted his dual-sport dominance. Forced into an artificial hip replacement at the peak of his physical prime, he still displayed immense courage by returning to Major League Baseball, hitting a home run in his very first at-bat with a prosthetic joint. Today, Bo Jackson enjoys a peaceful life devoted to youth athletics, extensive philanthropy, and quiet entrepreneurship. His legacy remains an immortal standard of absolute physical perfection. But while Jackson shattered records across gridirons and diamonds, our next warrior carried a right hand so destructive it struck fear into every heavyweight in modern boxing. Deontay Wilder. Known globally as the Bronze Bomber, Tuscaloosa, Alabama native Deontay Wilder holds the reputation as the most terrifying one-punch knockout artist in modern boxing history. Entering the sport late at age 20 to support his daughter who was born with spina bifida, Wilder bypassed decades of traditional amateur schooling purely through God-given leverage, an 83-inch reach, and an explosive right hand that delivers devastating fight-ending force with surgical finality. Holding the WBC Heavyweight Championship for over 5 years, with 10 consecutive title defenses, Wilder amassed an astonishing knockout-to-win ratio exceeding 90%. While boxing purists occasionally critiqued his unorthodox footwork and loose defensive posture, Wilder rendered traditional scorecards completely irrelevant. The moment an opposing fighter dropped their guard for a fraction of a second, his straight right hand acted like an electric shockwave, instantly rendering elite, world-class heavyweights unconscious and leaving arenas in stunned silence. Yet sustaining that level of ferocity at the pinnacle of heavyweight boxing came with tremendous physical and psychological demands. Wilder endured broken hands, bicep tears, and agonizing defeats in legendary grueling trilogies that pushed his body to the brink of complete exhaustion. The relentless burden of carrying an entire family's livelihood and an unbroken knockout aura under the harsh lights of Las Vegas required extraordinary mental discipline and an unwavering belief in his singular weapon. Wilder remains a permanent fixture of boxing lore, using his wealth to establish philanthropic community programs and train the next generation of Southern fighters. He proved that an indomitable fighting spirit can transform desperation into global greatness. But while Wilder ruled the ring with concussive force, our next titan dominated bodybuilding's most competitive era with an otherworldly ability to sculpt dense muscle in record time. Kevin Levrone, revered as the Maryland Muscle Machine. Kevin Levrone is an undisputed legend of bodybuilding's golden 1990s era. Born in Baltimore to an Italian-American father and an African-American mother, Levrone faced devastating personal tragedy early in life, losing both parents to cancer before his competitive career fully launched. Channeling his profound grief into intense iron discipline, he emerged on the IFBB Pro League stage with a majestic, flowing aesthetic characterized by some of the most fully developed deltoids, triceps and chest musculature ever displayed under stage lighting. Levrone's genetic gifts were so extraordinary that they bordered on the mythical. Unlike fellow competitors who stayed in grueling heavy training year-round, Levrone was famous for taking entire months off from lifting to pursue music and track and field, only to return to the gym and pack on 30 pounds of dense contest-ready muscle within 12 weeks. His raw power matched his legendary symmetry, routinely bench pressing nearly 600 pounds and squatting massive loads with flawless form, earning him 23 professional IFBB victories and 4 runner-up finishes at the prestigious Mr. Olympia. However, moving between extreme states of physical transformation placed severe stress on his body. Levrone battled through a catastrophic torn pectoral muscle and severe knee injuries during his competitive peak, demanding grueling rehabilitation surgeries to preserve his elite status. In 2016, at over 50 years of age, he inspired the international fitness community by stepping back onto the Olympia stage against athletes half his age, proving that age cannot diminish genuine passion. Now a successful entrepreneur, actor, and wellness advocate, Kevin Levrone stands as an enduring symbol of resilience and timeless aesthetic excellence, proving that the human body can continually rebuild itself when driven by an unbreakable heart. Johnny O. Jackson. In the modern landscape of professional bodybuilding, Johnny Otis Jackson earned universal distinction as the undisputed king of dual-discipline dominance. Born in Hamilton, New Jersey, Jackson established a legendary reputation as the strongest active bodybuilder on earth by shattering the long-standing wall between aesthetic sculpting and elite raw powerlifting. While purists debated whether physique athletes could survive the pounding of maximal lifts, Jackson proved they could dominate both, building the thickest, most heavily corded upper traps and pectoral development in the history of the IFBB Pro League. Jackson's gym footage became the stuff of iron folklore. Standing at just 5 feet 8 inches, he routinely executed raw deadlifts exceeding 800 pounds, pressed 100-pound dumbbells like toys, and bent heavy steel bars with explosive high-intensity training protocols alongside his longtime training partner Branch Warren. That raw bone-crushing strength carried him to victory at the prestigious 2009 World's Strongest Bodybuilder competition, while concurrently earning him multiple professional bodybuilding titles and over a dozen appearances on the elite Mr. Olympia stage. However, subjecting human tendons and ligaments to 4-digit workloads while maintaining single-digit body fat levels demanded a grueling toll. Jackson constantly battled chronic joint inflammation, micro tears in his connective tissues, and the relentless orthopedic fatigue that comes from pushing human biomechanics to the absolute extreme for over 2 decades. His longevity stood as a quiet medical miracle, sustained only by meticulous recovery and an unyielding commitment to physical discipline. Today, retired from elite competition, Jackson remains an essential elder statesman of strength, operating high-level coaching programs and mentoring young athletes across the country. His legacy permanently proved that true muscle density is forged only when supreme aesthetic discipline is anchored by terrifying, uncompromised power. But while Jackson conquered the stage through brute thickness, our next champion redefined the sport by bringing classic, sculpted grace back to the Olympia throne. Shawn Rhoden, known throughout the fitness universe by his fitting moniker, Flexatron. Shawn Rhoden represented the triumphant return of aesthetic elegance to modern heavyweight bodybuilding. Born in Kingston, Jamaica, before immigrating to Maryland, Rhoden overcame immense personal hurdles, including the devastating loss of his father and severe alcohol dependency, finding salvation and purpose in the discipline of the weight room. Possessing tiny joints, a vacuum waist, and sweeping muscular symmetry, he brought a nostalgic, classical silhouette that stood in sharp defiance of the era's blocky mass monsters. Rhoden's crowning moment arrived at the 2018 Mr. Olympia. At 43 years of age, he executed a masterclass in conditioning and proportion, executing flawless posing routines that toppled 7-time defending champion Phil Heath. In doing so, Rhoden became the oldest athlete ever to capture the coveted Sandow Trophy on his first try, etching his name into sports immortality as an artist who proved that balance, line and flow could still conquer sheer brute mass on the ultimate stage. Yet behind the golden trophy lay deep, agonizing private storms. Rhoden endured severe physical injuries throughout his career, including torn hand tendons that nearly ended his lifting journey before it began. In his final years, he faced intense public controversies and career-halting legal battles that banned him from defending his world title, isolating him from the stage he lived to grace and placing tremendous psychological weight upon his shoulders. Tragically, in late 2021, the bodybuilding world was shattered when Rhoden passed away from a sudden fatal heart attack at the age of 46. Though his life was cut heartbreakingly short, his legacy as a gentle warrior who restored classic beauty to physical culture remains immortal. But while Rhoden mastered flowing symmetry, our next giant shocked the world with arm measurements so monumental they seemed to defy human anatomy. Roelly Winklaar, hailing from the Caribbean island of Curaçao. Egberton Roelof Roelly Winklaar, known across the globe as the Dutch Beast, built one of the most astonishingly massive three-dimensional physiques in modern athletic history, emerging from a near-fatal motorcycle accident in his youth that almost destroyed his physical future. Winklaar channeled his survival into an uncompromising quest for size, capturing the prestigious New York Pro and the Arnold Classic Australia with a visual impact that left judges and fans completely mesmerized. Winklaar's calling card was an upper body development that bordered on science fiction. Possessing triceps, forearms, and shoulders so striated, dense, and unnaturally full that they appeared generated by computer animation, he regularly stepped on stage carrying over 290 pounds of striated muscle. To forge and feed that colossal mass, he endured agonizing high-volume resistance routines and consumed up to 6,000 calories a day of precise weight nutrition, pushing his cardiovascular system, internal organs, and structural joints to their absolute mechanical breaking points. Yet navigating such extreme mass brought severe physical setbacks, including severe digestive strains, joint wear, and nerve compression issues that required strategic medical management and continuous physical therapy. The constant pressure of maintaining the title of the world's most freakishly developed bodybuilder required an almost monastic isolation, demanding that Winkler sacrifice everyday normal comforts to sustain his monumental frame. Today, having stepped away from the relentless pressure of top-tier competition, Winkler focuses on family, international fitness consulting, and mentoring aspiring Caribbean athletes. His career stands as an immortal monument to what happens when supreme genetic potential is pushed to the furthest boundary of the physical universe. Yet while royally conquered through sheer size, our final legend fused superhuman muscle with the delicate soul of a fine artist. Ray Williams, in the history of powerlifting athletes, spent decades debating whether a human being could ever squat 1,000 pounds completely raw without the aid of multiply canvas suits or knee wraps. In 2016, a humble former college football player and coach from Demopolis, Alabama, named Ray Williams stepped onto the platform and permanently shattered that biological ceiling. Competing with only basic knee sleeves and a standard leather belt, Williams sank into a full-depth squat with 105 pounds on his back and stood it up cleanly, leaving the entire international strength community in stunned silence. Williams did not stop there. In 2019, he broke his own record by successfully squatting an astronomical 1,080 pounds raw under strict International Powerlifting Federation judging. Possessing a massive explosive posterior chain and an unshakable center of gravity, Williams achieved a total exceeding 400 pounds across the squat, bench press, and deadlift. His lifts were not mere circus demonstrations. They were executed under drug-tested, regulated conditions, proving that clean human biomechanics could withstand loads previously reserved for hydraulic machinery. Behind those thunderous platform cheers lay an exhausting daily grind. Balancing a full-time career as an athletic director, raising a family, and sustaining the intense caloric and recovery demands of a 400-pound super heavyweight athlete required immense discipline. Williams continually battled the tremendous cardiovascular and orthopedic strain of supporting 4-digit poundages on his skeletal structure, fighting through soft tissue, micro tears, and the constant danger of catastrophic tendon ruptures with every training cycle. Today, Williams remains universally revered as a living pioneer who opened a new frontier for raw strength sports, still actively coaching and inspiring young lifters. His legacy proves that with pure work ethic and self-belief, psychological barriers exist only to be crushed. Yet while Williams mastered the squat from the bottom up, our next titan resurrected his entire life by pushing an unimaginable burden straight off his chest. Kai Greene. Emerging from the harsh foster care systems and impoverished streets of Brooklyn, New York, Kai Greene, universally celebrated as the Predator, stands as one of the most mesmerizing, complex, and iconic figures in bodybuilding history. Facing abandonment and institutional hardship, as a youth, Greene adopted the gym as his sanctuary, using heavy iron as both a protective armor and an artistic canvas to reconstruct his entire existence from the inside out. Weighing over 285 pounds in shredded contest-ready condition, Greene possessed a back and hamstring development that rivaled any champion in history, capturing 3 prestigious Arnold Classic titles. Yet what made him truly unique was his revolutionary performance art. Standing on stage in his signature braided hair, Greene didn't merely flex. He executed breathtaking acrobatic routines, full extension handstands, and fluid contemporary dance movements with the grace of a ballerina, proving that extreme mass and supreme flexibility could exist in harmonious balance. Behind the dazzling performances was a life of grueling psychological discipline. Green fought through the deep scars of his youth, continuous runner-up finishes on the world stage, and the exhausting isolation of the professional athlete lifestyle. Rather than becoming bitter, he channeled his energy into deep philosophical reflection, treating every training set as a sacred meditation on the power of human consciousness. Today, Green has successfully evolved into an internationally exhibited fine artist, acclaimed actor, and best-selling author, proving that within a monstrously muscled frame lives an extraordinarily sensitive and creative soul. His journey completes our tribute to human greatness, demonstrating that the ultimate power of these 17 extraordinary men was never just in the weights they lifted, but in the unbreakable spirit that allowed them to rise from nothing and conquer the world. From shattered joints and torn muscles to ultimate global glory, these 17 extraordinary men proved that human limits are merely illusions waiting to be broken. They conquered the heaviest weights, the hardest punches, and life's darkest tragedies through an unbreakable warrior spirit. Yet their physical sacrifices remind us of the brutal, hidden price of chasing immortality. Did these legendary athletes achieve ultimate greatness, or was the permanent toll on their bodies simply too devastating? Let us know your perspective in the comments below. Hit the subscribe button for Golden Black Legends and join us next time as we continue honoring the most powerful, inspiring icons who redefined history through sheer unyielding will.